I always I was saying hi to everybody and calling off everybody's names. I'm so sorry. I thought I had this microphone thing figured out, but I guess not. I still still get it wrong. It's amazing. But I was talking about Marcia from Florida. I just haven't been to Florida since 2005, and I used to drive down there like every month. Once a month and stay for a week and then come back and work, and that's back when I had a few bucks and I had a lot of free time. Now I got lots of free time and no money. So it's a balance. Anyhow, yeah, I see a couple of Davids here: Dave Nelson, Corna, Warren, um, Alfredo, Jose. Awesome. Nature with Music's back. All right. Yeah, it's a long drive to Florida. I would get to the state line in about maybe 10 hours if I was in a hurry, and then about 5 or 6 hours from there to Miami, and then I would go sometimes all the way down to the Keys. And the Keys, I wasn't that impressed with the Keys. I don't know why. I expected more. I don't know why. I mean, the Florida Keys are beautiful. The water's so clear, but I was a little bit disappointed because there wasn't actually a lot of beach. It was mostly rock. But I really enjoyed Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and Jacksonville is nice. Like I said, well, I don't know if I mentioned, but I used to go down there a lot. I would drive down there once a month, sometimes twice a month, and just enjoy the sights. There's a place down there called Coral Castle, which is really interesting. Apparently, this guy built a house out of coral in all by himself with some amazing like pyramid like um, uh, construction techniques. They can't figure out how he lifted like 10-ton rocks and put them on top of each other all by himself with just minimal gear. So if you can Google Coral Castle and read a little bit about it. I had a tour guide there. There's a couple of different tour guides. So one tour guide would, and this was back then, would kind of give you the standard tour of what everything was. But there was another tour guide that really got into the sort of the paranormal part of it, of how the place was constructed using sound waves and magnetics and like these, like I said, possibly pyramid building techniques. And I always thought that was interesting, and I took so many great pictures while I was down there. And back then in 2005, I was shooting with I think it was my Fujifilm F10. It was either that, yeah, I think it was just my little Fujifilm F10, which I still have. I did a vlog with it a year or two ago, just for fun, and it's still a good little camera. It takes great pictures. I I got no complaints. It's 6 megapixels though, um, but you wouldn't be able to tell. Um, Marcia's asking me, is this from Alexandria? Yes, this is Alexandria, right on King Street, down near the bottom of King Street, near the water. This down here. This is a bar. Oh, I feel like a weatherman. Well, yeah, down here is a really nice bar. I've never gone into it because I'm always just out walking. But they have the doors open during the summertime, so it's like really airy. Then these doors are really tall. I'd say they're about, man, they're probably at least 10-foot doors in terms of height, if not taller. Oh, you used to live up here, Marcia. I think you've mentioned that before. Um, but yeah, I'd rather be in Florida personally. I might, like I said, when I'm the oldest one in the family, I'm definitely heading south. I don't know if I'm gonna go, North Carolina, Tennessee, where the Great Smoky Mountains are, or go all the way down to Florida. The only problem with Florida is all the freaking hurricane season. You never know when you're gonna have to evacuate, and it's not like a once in a lifetime thing. It's like every couple of years, they have to evacuate the freaking Florida. And I don't know if I could deal with that, that constant evacuation. So North Carolina and uh, Tennessee, I think to a lesser extent, has weather emergencies, like maybe some tornadoes, but because of the mountains, not so much. As long as I don't buy a mobile home, I should be safe from tornadoes, right? Because whenever you see a tornado scene, it's always the mobile home parks that get wiped out. So I figure if I just don't go to a mobile home or live in a mobile home, I'll be safe from tornadoes. Would an excellent condition EM12 for 750 be a good? Yeah, it's a good deal. I mean, if you know, yeah, it should be fine. Like I said, it just depends. I'm always a little weary. As long as you get a warranty, like if you're buying it from a camera store, I would be a little more comfortable. And honestly, probably 99 times out of 100, you're fine buying it from someone else, just third party. But uh, I always tell people never buy a camera from me because I've dropped mine so many times that I seriously wonder the longevity of the gear that I have, despite how it looks. It might look great. Nature with Music, Macro Talk, Rob. I was out yesterday using the 60 macro and tried out the Kenko extension rings. Allowed me to get very close with the flowers and also works with focus stacking. Yeah, I'm going to work on a macro video here soon. I mean, I know I've done a couple already, but they were more, uh, I don't know, they were just kind of like, I felt like doing a macro video and sat down and made one. But I think now I know how to use this presentation software. It's LibreOffice something. I forget what it's called. I'd like to do a little bit more formal macro video and talk about sort of the uh, different lenses you can use and focal lengths, and then talk about different ways to light things and get more into it, because there's a lot of there's a lot of things to consider in macro photography. Like choosing the right focal length. 60 millimeters is really ideal, I think, for micro four thirds. It gives you a good working distance. It gives you nice compression of the scene, and it's exceptionally sharp lens on top of that. It's not a lens that I own, so that should be my next purchase. But I just bought a. I don't know how I spent so much money this month because, well, I've been buying watches, but I've spent another $500 yesterday on another camera. But this is for work. It's a 360 camera because I've been getting requests to do some 360 videos and tours for the properties, and I've been getting them on and off for a while, but it's to the point now that I feel like I might lose business if I don't offer a 360 tour video as an upgrade or as a package of some kind, because people are asking for them, and it's a tough call. It's a tough call. I mean, I bought the camera, and I have some tour software, some rudimentary tour software. I might have to actually upgrade to a mid-level tour software to do, get a little more polished look for the tours and stuff. But oh, Dave says the 360s do really sell properties. Yeah, I guess they do. I mean, there was a window there where it was more hype than it actually made any business sense to do them, because they're not cheap to do. You know, from a real estate agent's perspective, and it's a tough sell because You know, here in the US anyway, I don't know about other countries, but we're very value orientated, right? We want to get the best bang for the buck, and having premium quality is secondary, you know. And there's very few people that really appreciate the the quality, you know, having a higher level of production quality in your photography and in your videos. They're more of a, you know, I just need to get this message out and blah blah blah. So uh I've run into some pricing resistance, you know, when I quoted pricing. You know, and I'm quoting like the standard pricing, you know, 250 bucks, but the value proposition I'm adding to that, because that's kind of the standard pricing around here for a 360 tour. It's a $250 add-on. You know, I'm trying to say that you know, that I'll throw in, you know, the standard still photos with the 360 tour, uh, because I'm there anyway. And most companies, they charge, you know, um, they'll charge, you know, 150 to 200 for a set of photos, and then they'll charge another 250 on top of that for the 360 tour. And yeah, I don't know. I got to think about the pricing and the offers I'm going to make and see what it goes, because I have to undercut a little bit the bigger companies, because there's a couple of major photography companies here that do 360 tours, and they use the Matterport system, which is you know, relatively high end but very costly system. Even if you use your own camera, uh, you know, using the Matterport system, you know, you pay a lot in hosting fees. And if an agent has, you know, 60 properties, and you multiply that by $25-$30 a property per month, you know, you know, they're not happy with that pricing model. Uh, so there's some other 360 tour software. You host it yourself, you do it yourself. So there's a little bit more overhead up front. So I think I can charge more, you know, to build the tour so that they can host it on themselves, because by the end of the year they're going to save a couple $100 versus the Matterport system, and then it's effectively the same thing. Um, Dave's asking, can you program a button to switch between custom modes or saved sets? Uh, Depends on the camera. If it's the EM1 Mark II and Mark III, you cannot, or the EM5 Mark III. On the EM10 Mark II, you can program different buttons to different my sets. But that being said, I have a video on my sets for, or custom modes for both the EM1 Mark II and the EM10 Mark II. So depending which camera you have, watch those, and it'll kind of give you a lot of the trade-offs between programming buttons, using the mode dial to save the settings, and you know, some of the things you lose. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what they are. uh, but yeah, you can on the EM10 Mark II program the my sets to different function buttons. Yeah, you're probably right, Nature. Um, the virtual tours probably should pick up. Your dog woke you up, Roberto? That's funny. There's an old saying, the best is the enemy of the good. It means only ever strive for good enough or fit for the purpose, as versus attempting superlatives. Yeah, I think I know what you mean. Ali Ale Blank says, hi Rob, hope you're doing well. I don't know if you've already talked about this, but will you do an AF video comparison between the M1 Mark II and the M1 Mark III? I'm curious for the face eye tracking. I'll try. I don't have a model that I can practice on, so I'm going to have to rig a wireless remote trigger. I use this one here. It works pretty well. Oh, look at that. It's see-through. Wonder if you can see my eye. Oh, no. Anyway, uh, it's in theory, the M1 Mark III is supposed to be a lot better, right? And everyone says it is, but until you test it, how much difference is there really? And the other thing with doing those kind of tests, I need to have good weather. Today actually turned out pretty nice, so I did a little some bird shooting in my backyard, just a little bit until Ellie chased them off. So I didn't get too many shots. uh, but yeah, I put bird seed out on Monday, and now today finally they're starting to come in and feed off of it. So it takes, if you put bird feeder out, it takes about a week before they find your bird feeder and start coming like all the time. But I saw a blue jay today and a couple of different cardinals, a male and female. And then of course the normal sparrows and all the tiny birds like this big. And if you sit in the, and I set up a chair maybe 3 meters, like 10 or 15 feet away from the bird feeder. And after a while, they get comfortable with you being there, and then they start to come in and eat the food because you're not bothering them. And then you can get some really nice close-up shots. And I took the M1 Mark III out with the 75 to 300. I haven't even imported the photos. Maybe I can do that while I'm streaming. Hopefully I don't lose the stream. Hold on. I'm opening up my thing. Smartphones, there's an app to do 360 photos with a smartphone. And it's not, I've never used one, but in theory, I think what you do is you just take multiple pictures and then it stitches them back together. I've seen something like that, but that's a pain in the butt. And I don't know how good the stitching's going to be in the end. It's best to get a dedicated 360 camera and just make life simple because, if you're doing this as a business, you don't want to have this huge workflow problem, right? Because time is money. So, it's the old adage, the right tools for the job. And I just bought a 360. I bought the Insta 360 1R, which has one minor weakness to it for 360 photos, but I didn't want to spend $2,000 or $3,000 for a high-end one because we'll see how much business I get. And then on top of that, the one that I really wanted, the Ricoh Theta Z, which has the 1-inch sensors in it and has better stitching and a better workflow, I just can't find one right now. And it's $1,000 camera, twice as much as I paid for the 360, but the fact that the workflow is about half as long, it stitches everything in camera. You just export them or export them to your phone or computer and you're done, versus the Insta360, it stitches them in the phone in the app and then you can export them. So there's a little bit of an extra step there, and then like I said, there's a minor stitching error because it's not quite as thin. All right, let's see. Olympus closure in South Korea relates to camera only, not its major sales area, which is medical. Yeah, Leon sent me an email this morning about that. So I read that article about Olympus has closed their camera stores and online sales in South Korea, and but they're going to keep their service centers open until I think 2026 to service existing customers. So at least they're doing that. And when they say it's not related to this, it usually is. But they said it's not related to the there's a movement in South Korea to not buy anything from Japan. And they say it's got nothing to do with that, which I believe is probably 90% true because the current pandemic is really driving sales down, in across the industry, not just South Korea. What's the best way to capture the International Space Station that is passing over us here for a few days? I have no idea. I'm sorry, Barry. I've never tried to capture satellites or the space station. That's a totally new area for me. Unfortunately, they had I think it was Spruce Knob party, and it's in West Virginia, which is about a 4-hour drive for me. But it's one of the darkest areas, near me in terms of dark skies. And I wanted to go to that to do some astrophotography for a few days, but it got canceled. So I'm a little disappointed. Ellie is a bird feeder. She's a bird eater, not bird feeder. But she's getting better. She uh she she sat out there with me today actually while I was trying to get some pictures because I feel bad cooping her up in the house while I'm outside, and it's such a beautiful day. I'd rather her just be there sitting with me. And the birds still came. I mean, every once in a blue moon she'd run over there and bother them, but she's figured out she doesn't have much chance at catching them. She was really good when she was really at it, but lately she just doesn't try that hard. Squirrels, on the other hand, she goes berserk. Okay, nature. I think I saw that picture of the goldfinch on your Instagram account. I'll have to double check. If I didn't like it, then that means I didn't see it. Meaning, if I didn't hit the like button, not that I didn't like it. And James says, I agree. You need a 360 sign instead of sing autocorrect. I'm lost here. Oh, let's not hope it's a sign on the wall. They're practically neighbors. Talking to Gavin, I kind of missed that comment, but Roberto says standard photos for house unit in Australia is around $500. Good money. Yeah, that's really good. You're not going to get that around here. Because, like I said, in my area, there's at least one major photo company. There's another one I can't remember the name of. I can't remember the name of either one, but one is very predominant. I've definitely lost business to them because they're very competitive and they have a humongous portfolio and they do 360 photos. So what I need to do is, yeah, I need to get my skill set up on 360 and real estate video, where the agent kind of sits there and jibber jabbers about the property, and then I should be able to make a few more bucks. I mean, I don't want to work that hard, but I don't want to lose business if I don't have to. Lars is saying, oh, Lars would know. He's into astrophotography. He says that the ISS is 408 kilometers away, a 6,000 millimeter lens, and at least there is a spot on the sensor. Well, I don't know what they're trying to capture. If they're just trying to capture the streak of it going across the sky, or if they're actually trying to get a shot of it. If they're just trying to capture a streak, they could probably get away with a 75 millimeter lens or less. Dave's asking, from a camera hoarder point of view, would you go for the EM10 III or the EM1 II if the price was good for both? The EM1 Mark II, every time. No question. The EM10 Mark III, it just has too many limitations. Another one that came up the other day, it doesn't have, I can't remember. I know it doesn't have manual flash capability with the onboard flash. And dang it, there was something else that came up in the last live stream about the EM1 Mark or EM10 Mark III that it didn't have the ability to do. So it's a great camera for people getting into the Micro Four Thirds system and are just general enthusiasts and travelers. and don't need anything, you know, anything special or customizable, like anything, things that the normal enthusiast, hardcore enthusiast would love to get into. Uh, but yeah, EM1 Mark II. You're gonna do harm to your bank account. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. What do you have now, Dave? An EM10 Mark II? Yeah, don't get an EM10 Mark III. Or you might have a PL7. I can't remember. My memory's terrible. Oh, hi Bob. How are you? Um, Man, I did a video this week on how to live stream and do video conference calls. I mean, it got a lot of likes, but it's not getting many views. I was a little surprised. I would think during this time of year, it would uh, it would have done better. But I think it's only got like 1,000 views after a couple of days. That's pretty sad. I like to get at least 1,000 views on the first day, and then from there, it usually does kind of average. Ugh. But yeah, the main thing in that video for the M10 Mark II is being able to get a clean HDMI signal out, which is really hard to find in the user manual because it's not in the menu in the M10 Mark II. It's in the manual, but it's only like one line that you have to really dig for to find. But the way you do it is you basically click and hold the info button down, and then all of the icons and everything disappear. uh, is something a lot of people overlook on that camera. I should make a separate video about that tip alone, because that's something a lot of people miss and don't think they can use the M10 Mark II for live streaming or video conferencing because of the icons and things, the HUD overlay of the live view. But it does an excellent job, and like I said, I get at least an hour of live stream out of it, if not 2 hours on it. It's really good for live streaming. Wow, Dave's doing a 240 mile backpack trip in August. Yeah, the M1 Mark II is going to be awesome for that. I'm a little late. I know, right, Bob? But I focused on Olympus cameras. So I haven't seen any specifically for Olympus. And like I said, because of the way the EM10 Mark II has that HUD overlay in the live view, not many people know how to deactivate that. So I thought maybe it would pick up, but uh, yeah, I'm a little late. I'm always late to the game, right? I just, but it's okay. I like the videos Peter and Robin been putting out lately. They're really consistent, man. Three videos a week, right? My God, I couldn't do it. I mean, I thought I could, but I don't know. Yeah, the EM10 Mark II, yeah, no mic jack. That's really more important for vlogging. For live streaming, you always want to use a USB mic separate like this one. Um, it's a lot cleaner. Yeah, ETTR and ISO are hot items now. I don't know why. I think Peter made a good point in the beginning of his video. I forget which one it was recently. It was either his ISO one or his ETTR video. But he made a good point about, you know, these other things are more important than what I'm about to do, right? Like composition and the story and the subject. These things are more important in photography than what we're about to talk about. But then he goes on to talk about, the other things. Oh, keeping your batteries charged, you can get those solar battery packs, and that that should work, assuming you got enough sunlight. But they got these solar battery things that hang off the back of your backpack that cover the whole length of your backpack. You want to make sure you get one that's about 30 watts or higher, so it has enough juice to power to recharge the power bank, because it's basically a solar panel, multiple solar panels together with a power bank, so it keeps the power bank charged while you're hiking, and then you can charge your batteries via USB. Oh, Dave said it already right there. Bring a backpack solar panel. Yeah, but like I said, try to get the 30-watt one. It'll be worth it. Otherwise, you'd be sitting there all day long trying to charge up a power bank with like those 10 or 15-watt solar panels. Out of interest was using the Samyang 100 millimeter macro and Nikon 200 millimeter macro with Metabone speed booster. Wow. Man, your depth of field's going to be so shallow on a Micro Four Thirds camera. I mean, even on a Micro Four Thirds camera. I couldn't work with that. Okay, the Anchor solar pack. Yep. Yeah, I like Anchor products. They've always been good quality, the ones I've purchased. Meaning I've purchased two power banks from them, both have been excellent. Any good EM1 battery charger without the cable? Uh, I just buy generic ones. Um, I can't even think of the name of it. Any generic charger will be fine. Lauren says bokeh and eye tracking are now less sexy than noise. And ETTR all relates to old MFTA. Just buy a medium format and get a strong arm and a large wallet. Yeah. There, the whole argument with ETTR and ISO and noise and all of those things, it ultimately it you don't. I don't think there's really. I mean, I like the testing they did where they took like Peter did an ISO 200 shot and then just cranked it up a couple of stops versus doing it in camera on ISO. And uh, and there was very little difference. And then another person emailed me, I think it was Leo, emailed me a picture where he did that same test on his camera and got the same result as Peter did, meaning he was able to raise the exposure and post processing from an ISO 200 shot and get pretty much the same noise. But all you have to do is understand that whenever you raise the ISO in the camera, you're crushing the dynamic range, and there's just no way around it. So if you're fine with, and so it depends on the scene. The scenes that they were using for the experiment were very flat. There wasn't a ton of contrast or dynamic range in the scenes, and I don't think their intent was to talk about the dynamic range and high ISO. The intent was to show that using ETTR in low light doesn't really make much difference. Um, but as a general, for general use though, ETTR, I don't see much benefit to it. Um, I don't practice it myself at all. I get the exposure I want and then let the pieces fall. I get the exposure I want at the lowest ISO I can use. And let the pieces fall where they may, you really don't have a lot of control. You just have to keep your ISO as low as possible all the time so you have the maximum dynamic range from the sensor. Every time you raise the dynamic range or raise the ISO on the sensor, you're killing the dynamic range. It's just simple math. So that's why I've never really done an ETTR or ISO video, so to speak, to practice, to have these best practices to get less noise in images, because you're not all you're rarely in a controlled studio situation where you can do these oh my god, what the heck is wrong with me, do these kind of uh, photos where you can control the ISO and the aperture exactly by one stop here, or two stops there, and then make these adjustments in the camera. You always want to use the lowest ISO possible that you can, regardless of what the other settings are going to be, because the other settings are going to dictate the depth of field. They're going to dictate what's the other thing? The motion in the shot, if any, if you need the freeze action, or if you want the blurring effect. Uh, so ISO is just a matter of getting it as low as you can for the other two settings that you have. And then if you have to, and as you raise the ISO, you start making compromises in dynamic range. I was doing shots of wow, okay. I was just reading what Nature of Music was doing. Lad is asking, do you have any experience with the Voigtlander lenses? I do not. I'm sorry. I assume that they're awesome glass. I mean, I drool after their glass, but they're so heavy, because they're all metal, and the Olympus glass is so good and small and lightweight. I just don't see a need to buy Voigtlander. But it would be interesting to get, like you said, a Voigtlander M mount with the adapter, and because there's not a lot of the adapter is very small, right? So you're not getting this long like extension tube type adapter. You're just getting a thin adapter on the mount for M mount lenses. And a Voigtlander, I don't know, maybe a Voigtlander 40 millimeter would be kind of neat to have. And then Lawrence says, or to expose what it is most important in the photo when the light is harsh. Blowing highlights on the important part is not so great content. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just get the exposure one. I'm sorry, my phone is ringing. 1 second. Hello? Yeah. Oh, all right. I'll be right out. Okay. Sorry. There's my mom again. Um, give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah, she brought me something yesterday. She's bringing me masks today. But I'll be right back. Sorry. Let me show you some pictures I. All right, thanks guys. Oh, no, she brought me this washable, reusable face mask, and oh, got it upside down. But anyway, you put these filters inside here or something. She's always she's always doing up to something. Let's see what everybody's up to. What's your guess about upcoming bright primes? Weather sealed F14s or 12s? Oh man. I I have no idea cost of what lenses they're thinking about coming out with. We'll just see what they are when they come out. You know, the 1.2 lenses they have now. The only one that remotely interests me is the 17 millimeter f1.2. So I'd be curious to see what an f1.4 looks like in terms of size and weight and stuff. That might be kind of interesting. You know. Rick says lots of people like to talk about ISO noise, ETR, ISO agnostic sensors, and said they're often the same people who spend their time reading lens camera tests versus taking pictures. Yeah, I mean it's okay. I mean, there, there's people that get a certain amount of satisfaction out of knowing what they're, knowing exactly what their cameras are capable of, and testing things and and doing things, at the camera's limits and saying, see, it's just a little better right here, right? uh, but if someone asks me, what do I think of ETTR and ISO and all that, I just say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What kind of camera do you use? It doesn't matter, you know, because that's just not where I'm at. I'm more into trying to get the photography part of it right, the story, the composition, everything that Peter said was the important things in photography. But if you're into just the gear itself, that's fine. Knock yourself out. It's just not where I am. But I don't knock people that are just into the gear and like to practice and do things technically that are very challenging, right? And trying to squeeze out a little bit better result out of something. I mean, that's fine. Uh, yeah, soup is not food. She hasn't brought me soup over in a couple of weeks because I've reiterated again I don't like soup. She brought me I don't know what it is, some kind of eggplant meatloaf yesterday. Had a little cheese on it. I was a little surprised. She's really very conscious about not putting unhealthy things on like cheese on the food, but she brought me some stuff. What's my experience with MC20? Lots of comments on the interweb varying from fantastic to send it back for a refund. I I I don't have that adapter. I just don't have any lenses that would support it either. So I can't offer any feedback on that. Sorry, Bob. No personal feedback from a anecdotal perspective. People say it's very good. I haven't heard about the refund side of it. Oh, you're in a photo club where they always looked at pics just wrong. It was always looking at the technical flaws. Yeah. Like I said, there's there's people that are into that, and that's fine. It's just not me. I mean, I do it time to time just to uh, from the perspective of learning how to use the camera to get the most out of it. It makes sense, right? And like when I do a lot of night photography in my photo walks, I always try to make sure I have the lowest ISO, etc. But if there's a way to get better image quality for the kind of photography that I do, then yeah, you know, tell me all about it, right? Uh, but yeah, it just gets to the point where you're just really um, too focused on the technical side and you're missing the point of why you're going out and taking photos. Yeah. Oh, okay, Photo 7, you're on the forum. That's good. Yeah, the forum, man. You guys are there's a lot of people there doing some really great contributions both in photos and articles or information. And I need to get a little more active myself personally. I've only been able to go in and read them and say, oh, this is great or whatever. But I haven't actually made my own dedicated posts lately. So I need to do some, but I need to go out and take some pictures. It's like I just haven't been really taking a lot of pictures lately. Pixel peepers, yeah. It's okay. I pixel peep. I'm just curious. I mean, it just from it's kind of secondary, the pixel peeping to the photography for me. It's not irrelevant at all. I mean, you need to inspect your photos and see if you can improve your technique, right? But it's not like I said, it's always secondary. Yeah. And try and import this crap that I did today. Let's see here. Lars says the MC20 can only be used with the 40 to 150 Pro and the 300 Pro. There's a physical block for other lenses. Yeah, if I remember correctly, those teleconverters are kind of extend out so that if you try to use them on other lenses, it's going to break the rear element, because the rear element's usually flush with the mount, like this, right? So you can't use those MC20s or things with other lenses because it protrudes out. I don't know. I think the 1.4 is probably a good place to start. I'm talking about the teleconverters, the 1.4, the MC14 or whatever they call it, because you don't lose too much light with it and you get pretty decent magnification. I've seen a lot of good results with the 1.4, but I haven't seen too many specifically with the 2.0. I think it's photographyblog.com. They did a comparison. I read about it a couple of years ago when but it's been a while since I've looked at that article. Why would you upgrade from a EM1 Mark II to an EM1 Mark III? In your opinion, would that be a worthwhile move? Not really. It really depends if you do a ton of sports action. Supposedly the tracking, not the tracking, but the autofocusing is better for very fast action type things where the focusing is changing quickly. Birds in flight, for example. But I haven't been able to test that personally. Supposedly the face detect and eye detect is much better. But I'd say unless you're doing it professionally for money, I wouldn't upgrade from a Mark II to a Mark III. Oh, Dave, for some reason this is the only stream that buffers. Yeah, you know why? Because I have my stream latency set to ultra low. I should change it back to low latency, because that was one of the messages that said that if you use ultra low, it may buffer on some people's systems. So when I do my live stream after this one, because after this live stream I do the photo editing, I'll change it to just low latency, and that should help. So thanks for letting me know, Dave. I'll try that on the next live stream and see if that buffer is better for you. I mean, you don't have to stay for the whole thing if you're not interested in photo editing, but uh, that could be it. I'm guessing that's something I can change on my end anyway. Oh, hey Paul, how are you? Alan, I just ordered the 300 millimeter and the f1 and the 1.4 teleconverter. Ooh, yeah, the 300 f4 man is amazing, amazing lens. Gosh, you know that's. Oh, I wouldn't say it's on my short list. It's more like on my wish list. Like if somebody gave it to me, I would be so happy. But I don't know if I would be that happy if I had to actually pay for it myself. 'Cause that it's just so expensive, and I don't know how much I would really use it. But it'd make a great gift. Hmm. So Rick is having some buffering issues too. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll go back to a regular low latency live stream. Um, Let me check something because I can't believe I don't think I can do it on the fly, unfortunately. No. Nothing I can do on the fly. It's stuck. It's stuck in ultra low. Yeah, I think if you have very fast internet or depending where you are in the world, you know, in terms of how the internet connects between places, it could make a difference. Uh, I was looking at the 300 and the teleconverter, but would rather wait for the 150 to 400 with a 1.25 teleconverter. So you find it easier to lock in at 150 than zoom in. Well, you know, the answer to that is to get that iDot sight thing that they have. Uh, People say they really do well using one of those. I bought a generic one. Where is that? Yeah, I bought a generic, one of those dot sights, you know, because Olympus wants like what, $100 for theirs? So I bought a generic one. These are made for like rifles, right? Maybe Rick would know what they're called exactly. Uh, I just haven't had a chance to go out and use it yet. But it gives you a little red dot, you know, in this little screen here, so that you can have a wide field of view with your naked eye, but then have a little red dot to kind of, you know, to lock onto something, and you don't have to look through your viewfinder, right? Because your viewfinder is giving you that very narrow field of view. God, I forget what all this crap is called. Um, but yeah, red dot sight, right? Yeah, I paid like $30 for this, and it works fine. I mean, it's a little bit it's a little awkward because you have to use Allen wrenches to adjust it. So it's not, you know, all fancy like on the Olympus. They have knobs built in. You have to use this Allen wrench. But anyhow, and it's got different patterns on it that you can adjust here. It's pretty cool. This one's a Civ Bonnie, and it's not any bulkier. I think it's even better made because it's all metal than the Olympus one. The Olympus one is kind of plasticky, but it's a lot easier to use than this one because, like I said, you have to use an Allen wrench to adjust it. But once you have it adjusted, you're fine, right? Oh, it attaches to your hot shoe on your camera. So this is the hot shoe mount, and this is, I forget, this is some kind of rail. This rail has a special name to it. but it slides into the like I said, I need to get my Allen wrenches out to adjust. But once you know, it's just a hot shoe mount. It comes with the dot sight thing. You have to buy, you know, you have to. I bought this one because it was the only one that really had the hot shoe mount with it. But that's how it mounts. On rifles and things, it doesn't have this hot shoe part mounted in. It has, you know, screws that mount onto the rifle or pistol or whatever you put it on. Yeah, isn't that cool? It is cool, Dave. I can't wait to go out and try it. I over adjusted one of the frickin' pins here, so it's a little bit out of whack. So I need to fix it. But once I get it fixed, I don't know why I did that. You know, I'm just turning it and I'm like, why isn't this doing anything? So I just overturned it and then it broke. I mean, it's not broke, but this little piece fell out that I need to put back in. And it was kind of a pain in the butt. And I said, well, when I, you know, maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Fix that thing. Yeah, check out the one from Olympus and save yourself a lot of headaches. I mean, it's $100, but like I said, a lot of people have luck with this one. You know, because they buy it specifically for their cameras. Oh, I got it on Amazon. Let me check my Amazon page. I'll give you a link to it. Hold on. Let's see where my orders are. Red. Oh, search orders. Red dot. Let me search for red dot. There it is. Here you go. Here's a link to it. But I'll show you a picture of it here online if I can. Where's my this thing here? It's $28.95, so it hasn't gone up in price, but it has, you know, you can see it has like 3 different types of dot sight things. And then it comes with the hot shoe mount. Let me just make sure. But there's a bunch of them, right? Let me make sure. This is the one I ordered, and it came with a hot shoe mount, but I don't see it. Now I don't see it saying that anymore. 20mm rails, Allen wrench. Heck, did I order the thing separately? Let me check my. Let me double check. View this order. Yeah, black with camera mount. This is the right one. So it does come with the camera mount. $28.95. Okay. Oh, Peter has a video on the red dot. Okay. I haven't seen that one. Yeah, that Rick's making a good point. You have to adjust it all the time if you're using different lenses with it. So, you know, if you have a 300mm f4 Pro and you adjust everything for that lens, you can't really use, you know, swap lenses and just use it right away. So that's one of the problems with it. And I would assume, depending on the distance to the target, you know, you might have to adjust it too, like an average distance. But that's just in my head. I don't know in practice. I haven't actually taken the thing out yet because I accidentally busted the little, not busted, but you know, over adjusted the screw and something fell out. And I can see how it goes back in, but I just didn't have the dexterity or the patience at the time to put the thing back in. Oh, good, good, Nature. Hopefully that works out okay. Let me know. You know, whenever you get it in the next live stream, just let everybody know how it worked out. And I'll try and fix mine sometime. But even after I fix it, I have to be able to find some birds to shoot it with. And my 75 to 300, let me take a look. Yeah, the adjuster beast. Well, my picture is imported. Let me show you these real quick before I go. I have to head out. Because my next live stream starts in about 20 minutes, so I need to get ready for that. But in the next live stream, I'll be editing pictures. Yeah, make sure it comes with this piece. The one that I ordered said it comes with it. It comes with a rail and a hot shoe adapter. But the hot shoe, you know, you can buy any rail, and maybe you can buy a hot shoe adapter. Not that you can see anything in this tiny mode. Forget about my bird pictures. Hold on. The hot shoe mounts in, like, this is a regular rail that you would get with any of them. But it looks like it just a little screw here. So you might be able to jerry rig something if you can't find the right hot shoe. But then by the time you put everything together, you might as well have got the Olympus original version. So try to find it together with this, but that's the one that I got. Let me look at it one more time. Because on my order it says 5. When I ordered it, it says camera shoe adapter with it, but when I go to that page, it doesn't say that anymore. Oh, it says currently unavailable. So consider this item. Oh, yeah, the one that came with the hot shoe is not available anymore. That's why it's not in the picture. But if you dig around, I'm sure you'll be able to find it with the hot shoe adapter. Well, Rick makes a good point. Don't waste your money on a red dot unless you're using lenses longer than 150 millimeters. I couldn't agree with that more. Yeah, the 300 millimeter f4 is really the only lens you'd probably use this with. And if you have that lens, you might as well buy the Olympus version. But I'm like El Cheapo, so I just wanted to get the cheapest one I can. Okay, good. The S7 Pony has the UK adapter. Your longest lens is the 45? Yeah, you don't need it for that. But, all right, everyone, any other last questions? Because I'm going to wrap it up here in about 2 minutes so I can get ready for the next live stream to do the photo editing. I'm surprised the photo editing thing is actually, a lot of people enjoy that too. I thought I was going to ditch doing that whole thing, but every week people keep sending photos, so I'm happy to edit them. Yeah, great for birds in flight. Well, do you use one, Rick? Actually, do you have the Olympus original one, or did you buy a third party like I did? You know, El Cheapo. There's a SpongeBob SquarePants episode where there's a guy in there that's super cheap. I think his criminal name was El Cheapo or something. But extremely useful with a 400 millimeter. Yeah, I bet. No, I don't have a GH5S, Roman. Okay, well, you guys have a terrific weekend. I'll be back on Sunday morning for the regular photo chat live stream. I really appreciate everybody coming in and joining me today. I always learn something from you guys, as much as hopefully I can teach you guys a few things and answer your questions. But I'm going to go at 5 o'clock. I'm going to start my photo editing live stream. So if you haven't submitted something already, I'll probably have to push it to next to Sunday. But um, as always, thanks again for watching, and hopefully we'll see you guys in the photo edit live stream.